Good. It's good.
Yeah.
It's good. Yeah. 3, 2, 1. Let me do the.
Okay.
That's what you say. I guess that's a slate.
That's the slate of snap snap?
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. What's up, everybody? My name is Rick. Welcome to Solo Sundays with my guest, Poison Ivory.
Hey.
You know, it's the clapping effect on this.
Oh, you will?
No, not really, but let's go.
Let's go.
Let's
We're
do
here.
this. How are you? Thank you for doing this.
Oh, thank you. I'm good, man. I can't complain. You know, I'm blessed. You know, there's trials and tribulations.
Yep,
but,
yep.
you know, I'm one of those people where I try to look at the glass as half full, not half empty. And I might put a little tequila in that bitch, you know?
Tequila solves a lot of problems.
It does.
Yeah.
It does. Yeah. Don't be an alcoholic, of course.
No, absolutely.
Yeah.
You know, somebody told me that if alcohol is good for helping the wounds from the outside, it also does the same job in the inside.
That's true. That's true. I like that.
Yeah.
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 But just like with wounds, you can't put two. Well, I don't know. What am I talking about? I'm trying to insert something wise right there. I'm like,
but no. Stick that back into the oven. It's not ready yet. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, let's bring that back.
That's fine.
So how are you doing? You know, again, thank you for doing this. I know that you have something that's coming up in the near future.
Oh, yeah.
New music.
Always new music. I'm so passionate about music. Anybody who's a creative, I'm sure can feel me on this. You could be 80 years old and you're like, I'm working on my new single. It's coming out on my 81st birthday. I love music so much, and I feel like I've grown so much as a musician. You know, I put in hours and hours and hours on, you know, learning and expanding and evolving as a musician, as a songwriter, as a singer, everything. So I'm really excited to drop some new shit. And I got a single coming out called Fucking Around.
Well, I guess we're going to find out.
We're going to fuck around and find out. It's for anybody who feels like people have told them, hey, it's too late, or maybe you should try this, or are you still doing that? You still believe in that? Fucking around is like, I'm not fucking around. But it feels really good. And, you know, live instrumentation. I'm all about the live feels. So
How many times that you've been told that, hey, you know what? It's not working out. Just stop.
Oh, like every year. Every year there's somebody, you know, when you go have like Thanksgiving dinners and are you still doing music, honey? Are you still a bitch, Kathy? So, you know, I just
Fucking
keep
Kathy, man.
fucking Kathy. There's no Kathys in my family, but I just wanted to throw that in there because I thought it sounded funny. But listen, man, you know, I love music so much, and, you know, I just feel like I have to make music because it makes me feel good, and I like making music that I like to listen to. And then when people tell me, yo, your music really helped me, and it's a random stranger on the internet, or maybe I do a show and someone comes up to me and they're teary-eyed or they're excited, then it's just confirmation for me. I'm like, all right, I'm supposed to do this.
Yeah.
I don't suck. I'll keep going.
But what has been the one of the biggest struggles that you deal with? Because I remember I was interviewing this girl named Noemi, and I asked her, like, why is it that the DSPs are not looking into your music or being added to a playlist?
Oh, I mean, that's all political. It's all political, and you got to have a budget. That's really what it is. It's the people you know and the budget that you have. I'm not bitter. Listen, everybody has an opinion about the music industry, and some people demonize other people. Is it demonic? It can be. There are demonic people in the music industry, but not every single entertainer is a demon worshiper. I'm not. I'm a minister's kid. I couldn't even. I'm more of an omnist. You know what I mean? If you don't know what that is, Google it. And, you know, I just believe that, I really truly believe that people fundamentally want to do good, and most of the time they don't, because human beings, you know, we all fall short of the glory of God. We all sin, you know what I mean, right? And we're doing the best that we can. But as long as we're trying to put in the work to grow in our character and, make sure we're not contributing to that chaos and we're bringing people joy and things like that, then who fucking cares, man? Like, if somebody's like, you're supposed to make music because it's a service to people, you're not supposed to get paid. Those people clearly are not creatives. Those people clearly have not been making music since they were kids. Those people don't understand, and they are on a completely different path, and that's fine, but don't judge us. Because I deserve to get paid to make music. I deserve
Absolutely.
for my streaming to compensate me properly.
Yeah.
I deserve as a songwriter to be compensated properly. Those things. But it's an uphill battle, and you're in it for the long run. It's the long game, and you kind of gotta like fall in love with playing the game.
Yeah.
And I gotta be honest with you, I kind of love the thrill. Like, yeah, there are times when I feel like I'm the underdog. A lot of times I feel like I'm the underdog. I come in the room, I don't have a BBL, a big ass booty, and I almost got one though.
Really?
Almost. Yeah, I could tell you guys my BBL story.
Oh, okay.
You want to know how I almost got a BBL?
I mean, we're on the topic. We're on the
Let's
topic.
go,
Let's do it.
go.
Let's go for it.
So,
Went to TJ?
no, hell no. I was going to Miami.
Oh, yeah.
So, I was under this management umbrella. There's a bunch of female artists, and we had a creepy manager at the time. He was total creep. That guy was just total sleazeball. Sociopath, actually. There's a lot of those in the music industry.
Sounds about right.
Yeah. So we had like an assistant manager, and she had a BBL. She was this Latina chick. She had a BBL. She had a fat booty. And there was another artist, and that artist was Indian. I won't say no names. And the Indian, I won't say no names.
I mean, is that okay?
There's not very many known Indian artists, so I can't really I just gotta keep it low key. So the assistant manager was like, the Indian artist, she would walk into a meeting and they would be like, "You're a songwriter. You're too frumpy. You're a songwriter," right? And especially when you're doing Western music, black music at that, I consider a lot of music black music. So with that being said, she went into meetings and they were like, "No, you're a songwriter," and they wouldn't pay attention to her. I would go into meetings, they'd be like, "Oh, you're not sexy enough," So, but we like your music, you can stick around. We like your vibe. You're inspiring. You inspire the artist, whatever. So our assistant manager, the Latina one, was like, "No, you guys need to get a BBL. This will change your life."
Yeah.
And so we had FaceTimes, Zooms, and stuff like that with a doctor in Miami, and we got our publishing deal. So with my publishing advance, I was like, all right, I'm going to get this BBL. My life is going to change. Everything's going to be different. I got on the call with the doctor, and the doctor was like, "You have no fat to transfer." And I was like, fuck. So
I mean, that's a great problem to have. I mean,
I was like, yeah, but if you look up ectomorph, it's when somebody doesn't retain body fat. They're really, you ever see really skinny people and everyone's like, "Oh girl, you need to eat." Trust me, they're eating. Trust me, they're eating. It takes a lot to gain weight.
God, I wish I had that problem.
Right? Everybody's got their own problems. So as a woman, men like it that, we're under the male gaze, under the microscope, even with other women. Other women can be very harsh. Very harsh.
Yeah, it's true.
There's very high standards with our looks, especially in entertainment. You have to have perfect skin. You can't look tired. You got to look fresh. You have to, have a curvy body. You got to be just thick enough. Or if you're skinny, you got to be just thick enough. It's just all these things, all these nuances. So long story short is they told me, "No, you got to go gain weight." And I was like, well, I'm not going to do that because I'm a cancer survivor, and doing all that, I'm not going to go eat unhealthy just to quickly gain weight, So I threw that out the window. But the Indian girl, she went and got the BBL, and it changed her life. and she ended up, getting a deal and blowing up.
Wow.
And nobody knows because it looks natural on her because she was already bigger. So, BBLs, guys, I feel like BBLs for women in the music industry have become like this sensation, almost like how dudes get like a Bentley or like, you know what I mean? Like,
yeah, like when guys like just...
Or veneers. It represents like someone who gets money. It looks like money. You pull up, you got a BBL and you got veneers, and people are going to be like, that person has more money than me. Mm-hmm. Maybe I'm tripping, you know what I mean? But that's what it feels like. So I think that's like the why people are like, people can hate on it, they can hate it, they can love it, whatever it is. But that's really what it gives off. It gives off, okay, if you can afford a BBL, a BBL's not cheap.
No.
That's expensive. Unless you go to Tijuana, but that is, woo, you're taking a huge risk. Mm-hmm. It's already a huge risk. So yeah, guys, I didn't get the BBL. Do I regret it? No, I think I'm okay. I think it was meant to be like that. I'm not really tripping. But, it is something to laugh at,
Yeah.
Like, damn, I almost got one.
I mean, you know what? It's funny because, I mean, that's very industry, Mm-hmm. Because when they look at artists, and it kind of reminds me of what they do for K-pop. Because they raise those kids, they start them young, and then as they grow up, the management or the people who's kind of putting the bands together, whatever, they're like, all right, they're at the age, let's do surgery. Bring up the cheek.
They do the eyes,
nose,
everything. Because you're entertaining. Now you are, as an entertainer, like I could see why a lot of entertainers would develop body dysmorphia, because you've got all these people laser focused on how you look. Mm-hmm. It's to the point where it's not even about music anymore. No. It's like the music is like mediocre. I mean, there's some people who are killing it, but for the most part, the music is like subpar. Mm-hmm. And it's about like the lifestyle that somebody's living, especially in like hip hop with females. I feel like that's so harsh on women. The way that's a heavy load. And then you have other women commenting on your body and your face and how you look. And then of course there's going to be people who are going to be like, well, that's what you signed up for. That's what you get for wanting to be famous. I don't think there's anything wrong with somebody wanting to entertain for a living. I don't think there's anything wrong with, you look at someone like Dolly Parton and the way they picked her apart. Yep. Now people are still picking her apart, and she's an old woman, and she's just
fucks given.
She can't. This is her livelihood.
Yeah.
If she gave a fuck what other people thought, she wouldn't have a career, and everything would crumble. Everything she's built would crumble. And I just think that, yes, it's very on the surface and it's very shallow, but human beings are kind of shallow if you think about it. If somebody goes, well, I'm not shallow, well, I can beg to differ. I can promise you there are parts in that person's life where they are being very shallow, like judging another person based off of the way they look. Mm-hmm. That is shallow as fuck. If you are looking at somebody and you're like, oh, she got her lips done and she got her butt done and she got all this done, I don't like her, then that's shallow. How about, did you get a moment to sit down with this person and have a conversation with them and see what their character is like? Sure, they might be insecure as fuck. I've met a lot of them out here. There's a bunch of insecure women. Mm-hmm. They get preyed on by men too. And it's sad, but that's a shallow thing to sit there and judge somebody just based off of their outer shell.
Yeah.
And instead of seeing if this person has layers to them, this person might be a lot deeper than you think. I've met some really wonderful people who you would never think are that wonderful because of how they look, And this is coming from somebody who grew up in the homeless ministry. My dad was in the homeless ministry. He was every weekend food,
mm-hmm.
It was a ministry.
Yeah, absolutely.
Food, clothes.
Always caring about other people.
Shelters, always caring about other
mm-hmm.
people. And, I remember one time I had a homegirl who was like, I want to help out with the homeless ministry. I was like, all right, girl, it's not going to be glamorous. There's not going to be a camera taking picture of you for social media. And I don't think it really sunk in. We get there, we're in the elevator, and she was like, oh my God, it smells so bad. I'm like, bitch, this is the fucking homeless ministry.
What do you think?
Yeah, don't
It's in the name,
say that.
homeless.
Just shh. Especially around these people. Like, we get in there, we serve them food. I think it got real for her because she realized, oh shit, this is like an actual ministry. This isn't, this isn't like downtown LA where you just show up for a day.
Yeah, exactly.
And you put on a bonnet and you give a couple of people plates and they're taking pictures of you. This is like you're showing up, you're singing with these people, you're praying with them, you're holding their hands, you're listening to these people share their story. These people, this is a safe space for them.
Yep.
Everybody has a story, so I digress, but yeah.
Yeah, I mean, going back to the BBL story and all that stuff, because, with artists nowadays, you see a lot of that where, I think we're at a point where, and I see this a lot, where they look at the artists of their numbers on social media. And
that's the first thing they look at.
Yeah, and then how can they market that person?
Yeah.
And that's where the BBLs, what they can do, what enhanced parts where they get more attention. But then, second or third it's the music where, cool, we could use their following to, to sell out, places where they're going to be performing at.
Yeah.
But I've seen where, it actually backfires, where a lot of times where they're, an artist will go that has like 1 million followers, and probably maybe like a small venue in LA, maybe half they can fill it up. And then they ask, like, why is it? And so keep in mind, they are posting very revealing pictures on social. So, and I'd ask them, like, hey, why have you got the analytics? Can you see who are the target audience? Or
is it horny dudes?
Yeah. And then here's the thing. This person was young too. This girl was young.
I actually, that's funny because I was looking at analytics myself and I was like, where are my fans? Not horny dudes in my DM telling me I'm beautiful. Where are my fans that will buy my merch, that will come to my show? That's the difference.
Yeah.
And that's what I pay attention to. And I think that there are a lot of really dope artists that are actually could pack out a room. And those people are not worried about the way they look. Yeah. And they are just dope vocally. But unfortunately, then the issue that runs into them is, do they have an actual sound? And so there's just so many things that have to like align. The way you look has to match your music. Your music has to connect to your fans. You have to have a team behind you that
team
actually,
is very, very important.
That actually can make moves and align things for you, not people that are just like hanging on for the ride,
Can I give you a perfect example of what it is to have a bad team? J-Lo. I think nobody has really telling her, say, hey, you should stop, take a break, hold back. Because there was the documentary where she's hitting up all her friends and everybody's saying no to her. I mean, I'm surprised that they actually aired it, but sometimes the friends will be like, hey, I'm cool, I don't need to be on there. Kind of hinting like, maybe you should just kind of take a break and maybe focus on other things. That, I mean, you could probably make a ton of money on. But to see how even the last few albums that put out didn't do well.
I feel like with J-Lo, because when she came into the picture, I don't know if you know about like the Mariah Carey, J-Lo. I don't know how true this is, but I've just like heard stories that when J-Lo was brought on, they were actually trying to get rid of Mariah. They were trying to like kind of destroy her career.
Really?
And that's why she ended up in that Glitter movie. Remember the Glitter?
Yep.
And like other choices that they were making for her. Like I said, I don't know the validity of these stories.
Yeah.
But, and you know, J-Lo came into the picture, and at the time she couldn't really sing like that. And then now she can. So now she's had all the professional vocal coaches. She's, you know, she done did all the work, and now she can actually sing.
Yeah.
And so, you know, of course she's going to want to come out with a project because she wants to show like, yo, I have chops now, guys. Because, you know, singing, some people are natural born singers. Like, I feel like I'm a natural born singer. Some people just, they can hold a tune or they can't, but whatever, you can learn how to sing. You can tune your ears and learn. And, you know, I'm one of those people where like, I'm like, if it's your dream and it's beautiful, do your dream, baby.
You said you're a cancer survivor.
Yes.
I mean, God, like, take me back when you went in and they told you that you had cancer.
To start off with that story, what ended up happening was I had like a cold, right? And you know when you get sick and your lymph nodes swell up?
Oh.
My lymph node on this side swelled up like a golf ball. And I was like, this is weird. And I got better and it never went down. So I was like, okay, I need to go to the doctor. And at the time, I didn't have like I had health insurance, but it was like, you know, like Medi-Cal, you know.
Not the best.
So not the best. But they took care of me. So I went down to a clinic, and it's crazy because I actually have a supernatural story that goes with it.
No, we'll get into that.
Okay. So went to the clinic, went and got checked out. They did like a needle point biopsy. Doctor comes back, says, this looks weird. We're going to send you to the main hospital, to LA County. So I go to LA County. They did like an actual biopsy. I had a 2-week period to find out. Like they told me, they were like, you have cancer. Over the phone, not in person.
Yeah.
So then there was a 2-week waiting period, and they were like, we have to find out if this is like the kind where like you for sure die, or if this is the kind that you could actually beat. And so I waited for 2 weeks, and then they came back and they were like, you have the kind that you can beat. You just have to go through radiation and chemotherapy. But then a doctor was like, don't do radiation if you're a singer, because it was all over my body. Yeah. The cancer was like throughout my body because it was my lymph nodes.
Yeah.
But it was like the main point was near my vocal cords. So, which is why I have I will never be silenced. I will not be silenced, I will not be silenced on my side tatted on me. And they came back and they were like, all right, just do chemotherapy. So they just upped the dosage in the chemotherapy.
Wow.
My hair fell out. I had to shave my head because I looked like one of those, like, you know, like those Barbie dolls with like the fucked up hair.
Yeah.
I look like one of those.
Yeah.
So I was walking around bald. And that's funny too, because when I was bald, and this was before like the Me Too movement and all of that, when I was walking around bald, I really offended a lot of people just being bald.
Really? How so?
I remember one time I was driving and I looked over and there was like this dude and he was in his car and he was like waving his fist at me. He was mad at me that I was bald. It was like an atrocity to him. He started following me and shit. And I was like, oh my God. And then another time I went to a mall and this girl just gave me the dirtiest look. And, you know, so then after that, I started wearing wigs because I was like, I don't want to attract that kind of, people are dumb.
Yeah,
like,
I mean, plus you're already going through so much.
I'm like, yeah. So I started wearing wigs, but I didn't want to wear wigs because they were itchy and I didn't have any hair blocking. It was itchy, but, Yeah, but then I beat it. You know, I was really fortunate. I was very blessed, and I went through chemotherapy for about a year and some change, and had like some crazy experiences, like supernatural experiences.
Really?
Too. Oh my gosh, yeah.
Because of the chemo?
Not because of the chemo, because I just feel like because I am the person that I am, and because I have like a special anointing on my life. I can't really describe it. Ever since I was a kid, I've had this anointing. I've always known that I'm different. And, you know, a lot of people say that, but like, I'm telling you, like, I'm fucking different. So people would come to me for help. Like, I would get random phone calls, even when I went through cancer, from people who were older than me. Hey, I heard you were going through cancer. I just got diagnosed with this, and I just, you know, I don't know what to do. And I'd be on the phone praying with them, bro.
Wow.
Like, praying with them and you know, helping these people. I'm still trying to figure my shit out. Helping these people who are lost figure out the next step in their path. And for some reason, I would know. God would, like, give me a download. And I've always been like that. And that's why, like, I think I've been so drawn to entertainment always, instead of, like, church is not for me. I'm just going to tell you right now. As a minister's kid, I have church trauma.
I can imagine.
I ended up in a, you know, when I was younger, they were going to send me to juvenile hall. And my parents begged them to send me to a Christian facility that was a boot camp.
Where you're like, send me to juvenile hall.
I was like, and
no,
so
please.
I might have been worse, who knows? But they ended up sending me to this facility that was like a Jesus camp, and they were like mad abusive. It was in LA too, and it was my probation officer that got them kicked out of the state because they were abusing us. So
Wow.
I got my traumas. But I don't hate Christianity. Don't love it.
Yeah.
You know, I don't like how people treat each other and get like self-righteous and judge each other. At the end of the day, we're all just trying to figure it out.
That's the thing. I mean,
All of
I
us.
think we will find out when we take our last breath. And that's where we go.
What if we don't find out? What if when we take our last breath, we end up somewhere else and we're like, damn, you guys aren't going to tell me still?
Yeah, it's like, come on. Like,
You're not going to give me a huge download? No, I'm sure we find out when we die. I'm sure.
I mean, that's the only way we get to find out.
Ooh, near-death experiences are crazy.
Actually,
Have you had one?
my dad did.
Okay.
He ended up, not once, but twice, had two experiences.
Whoa.
Yeah, the first one was, I remember I was probably, I think, 19 years old, 20 years old. And he was living in Las Vegas. And I get a phone call saying, hey, your father's in the hospital. We don't think he's going to make it. So the next day, I drive to Vegas, and I was with my best friend and my aunt. And we get there, we get to the hospital. And when we drove to Vegas, in that 4 hours, he passed away.
Wow.
But he was only gone for about less than a minute. And then I remember he said that he had an outer body experience where he kind of floated, saw what was going on. And kind of like he saw himself and saw the doctor telling the other people what to do. And then all of a sudden it just threw him back in. And then when he woke up, he kind of told the doctor what he saw.
That is wild.
And the doctor said he was like speechless, but then he said, you just had an outer body experience.
I bet doctors hear things like that all the time.
Well, absolutely.
If you're a doctor and or a nurse and you've had any crazy experiences, you should comment below.
Please.
Because I'll read that shit.
And the second time he told me that, and this is the crazy part, because he would always, he loved to party. His nose was never clean.
Oh my gosh, Dad was crazy like
Oh
that, huh?
yeah.
Explains a lot, Rick. No, I'm just joking.
I know, right?
I'm just joking. I've never seen you do a bump of anything.
No, I don't. I
Neither do I. I'm not a cocaine kind of gal. I'm a weed.
Even though
I smoke weed. I smoke weed and maybe drink every once in a great while.
Yeah,
That's my vice.
Yeah, but as in doing like coke, never. It never. Because the thing is, I saw the results that would come with
your
it.
dad gave you a clear image. You're like,
Absolutely.
nah, I'm cool.
Yeah. And so the second time, he told me that I think he was in somewhere else. He was living somewhere else, and he fully passed away.
Whoa.
And he said that he was going through an area where he said he felt so beautiful, so amazing. Like he was just, every worry was gone. He was like the most happiest person on earth. And he just had nothing to worry about, like nothing. And he said that he wanted to feel that internally. He was like, this is what I want to feel. Came back to life. And he kind of, when he opened his eyes, he was like, damn. Like, what happened to that?
Yeah.
And so...
That's pretty crazy.
Yeah, and he was just almost, he felt like bummed that he was like, damn, I came back to this. But again, it's like, they gave you a second chance. And saying, second chance. It's like, hey, third chance. He was like, let's go ahead and you have to change your ways. And so, unfortunately, he never did. I want to say he might have tried a little bit, but he was too far in.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, he told me those couple of times where he felt that, and I was like, okay, if he was going on that route, I was like, oh, cool. Then I've done a fraction of what he's done, so I should be okay.
Yeah.
And that's why I was always my train of thought, because he wasn't a good person, but he had a great heart. That's the thing.
Yeah.
He had a great heart. So regardless of what his addiction was and everything, but one thing I could say that he had a great heart, the way he treated other people, stuff like that.
Yeah.
Literally was a person that'd give his shirt off his back.
Yeah, it matters.
Yeah. So, but then unfortunately, the addiction took over, and I guess that was his last card. The doctor was like, no. God's like, no, come back.
I lost my godbrother, however, last year, and he was on a perilous path, and it was almost, the thing that sucks about those type of experiences is there's like a part of you that's like, you're heartbroken, but then there's a part of you that's relieved, because you're like, finally they can have peace, because they of all of this this pain that they're enduring, and all the things that they've been through, and it sucks.
That was one thing that because my mom's super religious, and I always said that the day that my dad dies is the day I forgive him for everything.
Wow.
And he's not hurting himself, and he's not hurting anybody else. That was the reason, because as long as he was breathing on earth, he was hurting himself. And because the addiction made him to a different person, he wasn't doing the right things.
Yeah.
And he was doing a lot of bad things.
Yeah, because your mind is altered.
Yeah.
So you're not yourself.
Not at all. So then that's the thing. And I think a lot of people didn't really understand it until he passed. And I remember when I had to ID the body when he was living in Palmdale. And when we finally figured out, okay, we're going to do the funeral, it was the first time I've ever had, I guess, I heard my father tell me, was because my grandmother, his mother, was acting up, like really putting all this effort, like just kind of be super extra.
Yeah.
And then in the back of my head, I heard him saying like, yo, just don't believe this. This is all an act.
Yeah.
This is all an act.
Yeah.
So when we went to the funeral, which was just like a little room, walked in and she asked for a mask, and it's like she's just like literally walks in, oh my god,
Right.
does the whole show for about good
she's like,
a minute, and then literally like, okay, we're done.
Yeah.
We're good. Okay. And I'm sitting there like, jeez, man, like it's your son that's in there. But then
I mean that goes into the deepness of why he was going through what he was going through.
And so and maybe kind of leading into the supernatural.
Yeah.
But when he was laying down, and I kind of put my hand on him. I said, and I think he needed to hear this. I said, hey, whatever has happened between you and I forgive you.
Oh wow!
It's like
heart just exploded right now. Yeah.
With that being said, there was like a plant, a fake plant.
Yeah.
But you ever seen how heat bounces off the concrete?
Yes.
Okay, I saw that.
From the plant.
You see the waves.
Yeah.
Like it was like moving up.
Oh wow.
And I was like, he needed to hear that. Now, fast forward to 2 years. I have a sister that's in Miami, and she came down here during middle of COVID. And so I had his ashes, and she never knew I had him. So she came down and said, hey, I have something to show you. And I show her the urn, and she was like, oh my God, that's Dad. And I said, yeah. And so when you're ready, I'm gonna give it to you.
Okay.
Because that's her dad as well.
Yeah.
So, but during the time that I had him, I was like, Dad, if you're here, do something, please show me. Like I was just calling him, and but
was he doing anything?
Nothing.
No.
Nothing. It wasn't nothing.
Your dad was like, man, leave me alone.
Yeah. But so I gave her the urn, and about 2 weeks later, she calls me. She goes, hey, do you want him back? I was like, what do you mean? I was like, is he popping up? And he's like, yeah. I was like, fuck, he hasn't even popped up for me.
Yeah.
So I was just like, come on, like, why to her? Well, shortly after, I met up with her, and I said, what was your relationship towards the end with him? And they had a really rough relationship, really rough. So she told me that when her and her husband were arguing, if there was change on the table, it would get flown off the
That's
table.
wild.
A chair will get thrown back.
He's like, your dad was like, shut the fuck up.
Yeah, pretty much.
Basically.
Pretty much. And so I had to tell her, I said, listen, have you closed it with him? Like, have you said your piece? And have you said anything?
Right.
And she said, no, I never did. I was like, okay. I go, when you have time, and I told her, like, this is what I did when I was at the funeral. Mm-hmm. While you guys left, I was still in the room. Mm-hmm. I go, I think he needs to hear you just closing it out. Just saying, what you have to say and making sure that he's okay.
Yeah.
So he can go where he needs to go.
Right.
And so she kind of was like, all right, sure. And so one day she did it, and she felt like this wave of like it looks like she was drenched in water.
Whoa.
And she just was like, what the hell? And then ever since then, it never happened.
That's wild.
Yeah.
I totally believe it.
Yeah.
When I was a kid, I grew up in a haunted house. And I had a reunion with an old friend recently. Yes. And the first thing she brought up, because I hadn't seen her in like 10 years, first thing she brought up was,
alive or dead?
Huh?
The friend.
The friend's alive.
Okay. Yeah. I wasn't sure. I mean,
yeah, I had a reunion with a friend. The first thing she brought up was my haunted house that I grew up in and how it affected her. And I'm still friends with, a few of my friends that I grew up with, like my childhood friends. And they all remember my house being haunted. Mm-hmm. Everyone had an experience. We had poltergeists in that house. My mom and dad never experienced anything.
Really?
My dad had one experience, but it was just me and my brother, and then mainly me, and then all of our friends. Every single one of our friends that went to that house experienced something, and so nobody wanted to spend the night. But I really think that it wasn't the house specifically. I think it was the property. I don't know what it was built on top of. There was something that it was built on top of. And we had an old well in the backyard that was covered up. It was like brick. Who knows how old it was. And behind that well was what looked like an outdoor oven from like back in the day. So we don't know. Yeah. We have no idea. So, had a reunion with a friend, And she just reminded me about this supernatural experience that we had when we were sitting in the front of the house in our car, and how someone in a hoodie walked up to the front of the car, banged on the front of the car, and then vanished. And she reminded me, I had forgotten because I had like subconsciously like pushed everything down. I had so many experiences in that house. Another time I had a couple of friends over, books would go flying out of the shelves, things like that, apparitions, voices. And I wouldn't be the only one experiencing it. There'd be other people there. I had experience where it was like me, my best friend, two of my brother's friends, and we're all waiting for my brother. We had an experience where we all had an audible and visual. We saw an apparition and heard it. And then we all ran into another room and we're like, oh my God, I can't believe we just, and then all of a sudden my back kitchen door that had a window, no one was home, nothing was outside, starts violently shaking, and then everybody wanted to leave me there, and I'm crying. I'm like, don't leave me here. And so I went over to my friend's house. It was stuff like that. So that house, sometimes when I'm in that city, I'll drive by it.
Really?
Yeah, I'll drive by it and I'll just look at it, and I just like, there's something that like is compelling. I don't want to bother the people that live there. They fixed it up. It looks really nice. But there's like a part of me that wants to like leave them a note and like be like, oh shit.
No, you're good. You're good.
And leave them a note and just be like, hey, I grew up in this house and it was very haunted, and you know, I don't know, but I'm not going to do anything.
Yeah,
like that.
Absolutely.
But it's just
maybe
so weird.
Maybe the spirits have passed.
No, there's no way. It was the property.
Yeah.
It was like
wishful thinking.
It was the backyard. It was the inside of the house. I used to run. My friend that reunited with me reminded me. She just works like, she's not an entertainment. She's not a foo-foo type of person. She works a regular fucking job. She's in the corporate world, you know. She's not on that tip. She told me how she used to think I was crazy when we were kids because I would be scared to walk. We had a front house and a back house. I used to run from the front house to the back house. And she'd be like, why are you running? And I'm like, because whenever I would walk, something would pull my hair or push me. Wow. And so I would just run, you know? And she used to think I was crazy until we had that experience. And then it just made sense for her. She was like, oh, she's not crazy. She really is experiencing these paranormal things. So I wonder, like, everyone has like their trauma, you know. Some people go through like, you know, abuse growing up, and you know, having parents that are like alcoholics and drug addicts and stuff like that.
I swear, I live in a.
Pull over that ass, too fat. Woo, woo,
I swear, I live in a nice neighborhood, but there's a fire department, police station that's close by. Are always going on.
But I wonder, like, you know, everyone has like different traumas. They don't talk about spiritual trauma. Is there therapy for that? Because I need some for that.
Has a person that's passed came, showed themselves, and left?
I haven't had that experience. No.
I've had it.
Really?
Yeah.
I've heard stories from other people, but I've never had that experience.
I was talking to this guy who, because I was explaining it to him. So there was this kid that I used to work with at a radio station, and him and I were never close. But every time we saw each other, we would always say what's up, show love to each other. I remember he was at a club, and then the bouncer, as he was kicking him out, he choked him so hard that it closed his
oh my God,
his pipe.
Yeah,
and he couldn't breathe. And so, unfortunately, he ended up passing.
Yeah.
But when I got the news, I was like, "Dang, that sucks." That that the way how he was, how he passed was from a bouncer at a club.
That's crazy.
Horrible.
Yeah.
Well, the next day, and this is something what the guy told me, because when I explained to him, I woke up and I saw a shadow of him, and I looked at him and I said, "Hey," and I called his name, and he kind of did this, and then walked into my closet. My closet door was open, and just kind of walked into the darkness.
That is wild.
Yeah. Then I was like, huh, all right. Went back to sleep. So when I was talking to the guy who I guess that's all he does, like paranormal stuff.
Yeah.
He says when spirits come to say like goodbye or show themselves, they would do it to a point that the air isn't so you won't be fuck. I swear I do live in a nice neighborhood. I really do. That the spirit will kind of will give you will clear the air so that you don't get scared, and it will be kind of like almost like a hey, I'm here, just want to say bye, wish you well, and it was exactly like that because it didn't scare me. I saw him, I just saw he was like a silhouette of him.
Yeah.
Because
but you knew.
I knew
when
exactly.
You see a silhouette of someone that you has like a specific look about,
Yeah, absolutely.
That's pretty wild.
Yeah. So when I after I told him that, he says, "Yeah, spirits would do that when they come by. They will make sure that you won't get scared. It will be something calm, like you say hi to somebody who like somebody walks past by, you say hi, and it's like nothing, and that's what it was.
I feel like at this point in time, people are starting to recognize that there is something else, dimensions and where does their spirit go and things like that, because now we have Ring cameras that are picking up things. We have people whipping out their iPhones and catching things. We got eyewitnesses all over the world experiencing all kinds of supernatural stuff. And now everybody's
UFOs.
UFOs are everywhere now.
Yo,
they're everywhere.
Can we admit that was a conspiracy, that it was facts the whole entire time?
Yeah, of course we can.
Yeah.
I feel like most people, not all people, but most people.
I don't know what was the logic behind that. I just try to make myself.
Yeah, well,
smart.
most people have experienced something supernatural. Most people, not all people, but most people.
But we have to admit, we have, and I'm sorry to cut you.
Yeah.
But have you seen the people who have witnessed UFOs or have close encounters with them? They're all white people that are just living middle of nowhere. You never seen a black person be like, "Oh, hey."
Actually, I beg to differ. It's the white people that come forward. I don't think the black people come forward because they already got a lot to deal with.
Yeah.
And they're like, I'm not about to do all this. I gotta work. I have to do this. I'm not trying to bring that type of attention to myself. But I think the reason why white people come forward is because white people, we can get away with a lot more because of white privilege. So white people can come forward and be like, I saw Bigfoot. I saw a UFO. I saw this supernatural thing, and talk about it. And people will think they're crazy, but they might, it's a little different. But I have met black people who have had those type of experiences. They're just not telling people. And so like there was this one girl, I won't say her name. If she watches this, she'll know. I'm telling your story, girl.
Leave a comment.
Leave a comment.
Yeah.
But she was a blogger, right? And we really hit it off. And she lived in New Mexico. And we would just talk to each other. And she had like a big family. She had a bunch of kids too. She has a bunch of kids. And we just hit it off. I never met her in person. We would FaceTime each other. We would just talk on the phone. We just hit it off the internet friend, right? And, she was really cool. Very down-to-earth woman, we would just talk. Sometimes we would pray together. Like, we were just cool. We kind of had, like, similar belief systems and stuff. And then she hit me up one day and was like, girl, I saw a UFO crash. And she told me she saw a UFO. She swears to God she saw a UFO crash in New Mexico, like in these hills, in these mountain hills. And it crashed, and then she was thinking about going up there out of curiosity. She said about 2 hours later, she saw black vehicles just in a row. There was a row of them driving up there, and all black, And then she ended up going up there when she had the time because she had her kids and stuff. And she went up there and it looked like something had crashed, but nothing was there. She was like looking for debris and stuff. She was very curious. She was scared as fuck, but she was very curious. So, and then I had another girl tell me this experience, a person of color as well, and told me this was actually out here that this happened. They told me that when they were a little kid, maybe like 5 years old or something, they woke up in the middle of the night, got out of bed, and looked out their window and saw their neighbor outside stunned, and there was like a beam of light on their neighbor and some weird looking creature that basically was an alien that she described was an alien and had some kind of device in its hand, and that the woman, their neighbor was a woman, was stunned and couldn't move, right? And then she got scared as a kid, ran into her parents' bedroom and went to sleep in between them and like mentally blocked it out. Woke up the next day, was like, oh, it was just a dream, right? Just a dream. And then she wanted to go play outside, and her parents went, no, honey, we're not going outside right now. There's a bunch of police and news people here because the crazy lady next door is claiming to be abducted by aliens. Sip on that one.
Oh.
You can choose to believe it. You can choose not to believe it. But there goes a fun story for you. Take that with you.
I would love to get abducted. Oh, I would. If they could make me smarter, they were like, hey, here's your whole brain. You're using 110% of it. Sign me up. Probe all you want. Probe all you want.
I think there are good aliens and bad aliens.
Oh, yeah.
Just like people. And if I was to be abducted, I would be like, you can take a specimen, but just heal me, whatever it is that needs to be healed,
just right? Make me
or
smart.
upgrade me.
Yeah.
But then if it, like, I'm scared of aliens, man. I don't know if I'd ever want to like meet an alien. I'd be so scared. And now there's all these conspiracy theories about like aliens.
Have you seen the women I dated?
They're all aliens.
They make an alien look amazing.
Speaking of dating, that's a whole topic right there. Have you ever dated someone mentally ill?
I mean, they're women, of course.
Oh, what the fuck? They're women. Get out of here.
You know what? Mentally ill, no, but I maybe. Because the past relationship she was a narcissist. So it was, and this is something that I picked up from her into the next relationship that came after that, where everything was at my fault. It was always me. It was always me. It made it feel like I was the bad person. I was the one wrong. But when everything was said and done, I saw her true colors. And so when it did hit me, I was like, God, you are a horrible human being. Like, you're just horrible. I mean, you were hooking up with my coworkers. You were just doing the most.
Damn.
And so, but the one thing, when I was done and over with, I took something from it because she would never get hurt, ever. And I started learning how she did it. So I started using it into my next relationship, where I was like, "Cool. If this doesn't work out, I'm not getting hurt at all. Like I'm not getting hurt. So that's their problem, not mine." And so I started using that until I got called out. And said, "You know that what you're doing is wrong. You're kind of almost like being a narcissist." And,
wow.
And
you picked it up.
And all of a sudden I was like, okay, you know what? I have to change. Yeah. Like, I have to change my ways because I don't want to be that person.
That's interesting because people don't realize that when you date somebody who is narcissistic or is a narcissist or has personality disorder or whatever it is, and you're and they're not helping themselves, they're not getting the help that they need.
Yes.
You can pick up their traits, and you could end up being a little bit like them if you're not careful. And I think that's like really important to be aware of, because I've dated people who were not good to me, and I've had to think about, am I repeating what they're doing? Am I acting like them?
Yep.
Because human beings, we repeat, we copy, and we copy everything around us. Nobody is completely original.
Yeah.
Everything is taken from our environment around us. We're like a computer chip. We store all this information and we repeat it and ruminate on it and repeat it over and over again in our heads. And so that's something to be aware of, for sure.
Yeah. And it's funny you said that, because it's I'm also going through that as we speak. Because one of my pet peeves was the texting back part. If I text you, at least give me a couple hours, 3 or 4 hours, hit me back. Hey, sorry, busy. Or if I know that you're working, cool, I'm not going to hit you on.
Oh, I got to ask you a question then on a relationship tip.
Talk to me.
All right. So, okay. And this is about texting and expectations when it comes to texting and responding. So I was talking to a guy, right? And I feel like men are pretty simple, and you can tell if they like you or not based on what they do versus not what they say. You can't go off of what they say. You have to go off of what they do, how they act with you. And so I was talking to this dude. He's a musician guy, he tours and stuff like that. And
that's a red flag.
Red flag immediately,
yeah.
Right?
Yep.
And I was like, okay, I'm gonna talk to this guy. And so he wouldn't get back to me sometimes for a while, and that was fine because he was like on tour or whatever. And we just started talking. We don't even know each other like that. We're just getting to know each other. And, we had conversations, and I was like, oh, I like you. And he was like, I like you too. And he let me know that, he wanted to actually date me and stuff. He wasn't just trying to smash and bounce. And I was like, all right, cool. That's what's up. Because I would have been DTF. I was DTF.
Hey.
But he told me he actually wanted to go on a date with me. And I was
you
like,
want to be
all
a gentleman.
Right. I was down to just DTF, but
Hello.
I'm down for that too. So, okay, cool. So we start talking to each other. Texting, I'm not good with, because sometimes I can misread a text message.
That's me all the time.
And not understand the context of it or the tonality. I don't know who that person is, so I don't know what they mean. I don't know if they're being an asshole, if they're being sweet. There's so many ways to take it.
How can you spell okay? What a bitch.
Right. What do you mean? Okay. Yeah. So, it's kind of hard to understand sometimes. And so it got to a point where we were talking, and then all of a sudden, I was being left on red. And nothing I sent was being responded to. And it was only a week since the last conversation. And so I unfollowed dude on Instagram, and we don't talk on the phone. So do you think I was hasty? Or do you think that I'm being cautious and making the right decision by, after a few days of non-response to my memes, my hilarious memes? What do you think when it comes to stuff like that?
I think
from a man's perspective.
I think memes are just kind of when somebody's I've been in a couple of chains where they just send memes, and I'm just I won't even acknowledge it. I read it, oh, hilarious, and I know when next time I see them.
Yeah, but what if you like the girl? What kind of response are you going to give that girl?
Yeah, I mean that is true. Meme? Yeah, if you're trying to, want something with this person, of course you want to make sure that you acknowledge that, they sent you a meme and all that stuff. But I think also where he maybe just got tired of the fact that nothing was happening. Where he was like, I'm over here and you're over there. I can't do anything with you right now because I'm on tour, and this is getting boring.
I got bored.
So it's
And I'm not, and I don't send titties. I don't send titty pics.
I mean,
I don't
I mean, that's your problem right there.
no.
That was your problem right there.
Well, then it's not for me, man.
No, but I think when with like everything else, like when you want to have
I'm a
something,
public figure. I'm not going to send you pictures of my titties.
I mean,
well,
you
I think
should.
I think it went downhill after he asked me to send a picture of my titties, and I sent him a funny video where this lady's at a restaurant and she just like plops her titties out on the table, but her titties are like flapjacks, and he got really upset. He was like, "Nobody deserves."
Yeah, that's
ugly
hilarious.
Titties. And
That's funny.
I was like, I thought that shit was hilarious. Well, that's the end of that.
Yeah,
You know?
I mean,
we both moved on.
Yeah.
But I just like, I think about that. I'm like, what's this expectation and this exchange of, texting and communicating with each other? And like another thing is like most women, they're not talking to multiple dudes at the same time. Most women aren't. Some women are. I have dudes that hit me up all the time. They hit on me all the time. But I'm not, even if I'm flirty, I'm not interested in these dudes. And I'm not like literally talking to them. I'm going to choose one guy and I'm going to give that dude my attention. And if he's not reciprocating the attention back or showing me through his actions that he likes me, then I'm forced to move on.
Yeah.
And that's just kind of what it is for me. I can only speak for me. I don't know how other people are.
I think with guys that when we talk to a woman or a girl, we have to think that we're not the only person that they're talking to.
Yeah, and that's the issue.
You could tell me that, oh, you're the only person I'm talking to. Great, cool. But the back of our head, we're like, nah, because if it was so easy for you and I to start talking, how easy that is for you to do it with somebody else.
Yeah, but that's the issue is, okay, and I can only speak for me, okay? I get hit on every single day on the street, in my DMs, when I go to work, when I go to studio, I'm getting hit on. There's all the fucking time.
We get it, you're hot.
You know what I mean? Thank you. But my whole point is this. We're getting hit, females were getting hit on. And if we decide to talk to somebody, we're giving that person a fucking chance. And then they fumble it. Then it's like, I gave you a fucking chance, bro. Like I gave you the benefit of a doubt. When I start talking to a dude and I'm giving him my energy, there's something, I'm feeling a spark. Now, that person may not be feeling that spark. It could be delusion. It could be my female chemicals and hormones and all that bullshit in my body giving me this delusion that there's a spark there. I don't know. Sometimes I feel like biologically it works against me. I'm like, damn, my clock is ticking. I'm not trying to be like that, but it's nature. God made us this way as females. I also think it's unrealistic for men to expect women not to have feelings after having a situationship, right? I think it's unrealistic for men to expect women not to have feelings. We are not wired to be like that. God did not make us that way. We can control ourselves and we can say, nah, I'm not into you like that, but we're still gonna have feelings regardless, because we've got ovaries and shit and there's chemicals being released, and after we hook up with a dude, there's a chemical there's dopamine and all this stuff being released that makes us feel closer to that person because we're supposed to, have babies and procreate and all that.
But have you ever had a relationship, had the conversation with that person when you explain that to them? Because 9 times out of 10, a guy would be like,
I've never had a situationship where the dude hasn't wanted to be in a relationship with me. Every single time I've been in a situationship, the dude has been like, I don't want to let you go. And so I was in one for 4 years on and off. Stopped messing with dude to go be in a relationship with another guy. Me and that guy broke up. I'm loyal, okay? Me and that guy broke up, went back to the situationship. All right, this is cool.
Yeah.
Did I have feelings for him? Of course I had feelings for him. We were fucking for 4 years. It's a long time.
Yeah.
And he wanted to be in a relationship with me. But I had been around him long enough to know that this isn't somebody you want to be in a relationship with.
Yeah.
This is someone you just have sex with. Because, you know, he's just not that type of dude. And he still isn't. And if he watches this, which he probably will, shout out to everybody watching.
Yeah, I know, right?
If he watches it, he knows that I'm talking about him. He just had a baby.
Do you think hating a person is a good way to get over that person?
I mean, not really, no.
Really?
Actually think
I think so.
I don't think so.
Really?
I think hatred is a cord that bonds you to that person. I think the best way to get over someone is to
Get under them.
I think the best way to get over someone is to be real with yourself and be like, this person hurt me, but I'm willing. If you're not in a space to emotionally let it go, at least say to yourself, I am willing to let this go, and keep repeating that to yourself until you just don't care anymore.
Yeah.
Not caring at all and like being emotionally disconnected is the only way. Hatred can bond someone for life. There's enemies that are bonded for life because of the hate that they have between one another. What is the opposite of hate but love? And is love not a very powerful emotion? Then hate's going to be just as powerful.
And the reason why I say that is that I had to hate that person for me to get over it. Because the moment I started hating that person, because I was in love from beginning and even after the fact that it didn't work out. I was completely in love until the very end where I hated that person. Hated for years. But then one day I realized and I was like, I don't hate this person anymore because I've already hated that person so much that I've gotten over it. Like it helped me get over that person so that I don't have to, use fake accounts to see what they're looking at or what they're posting and stuff like that. Like, no. I was like, I'm done with this person. Like, I hate this person.
You know what? That's interesting too. Creating fake accounts.
But it's also where it allowed me to get over that person. To now, when I see that person, I have zero feelings for that person. I have nothing. Like, I wish them the best. I hope them they do well. I have nothing but
I feel like you're describing what I just said because it's accepting that they hurt you and accepting that you don't want that they're not good for you. But is that hate?
But I think you need hate to get to that point.
To get to the next emotion.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, maybe like in the step of emotions. Like
there
is an emotional wheel. Mm-hmm. Like when you go through grieving or
maybe that's
heartbreak, or anything, even when you're trying to raise your vibration, there is an emotional wheel that you
I think that's the final boss there. Once you get to a final boss and you beat it, then everything's like unicorns and rainbows.
Okay, so here's another question. Have you ever created a fake account to stalk an ex?
No, I haven't. I
haven't either, actually.
But
I find it very interesting that people do that because I'm like, if somebody is, if I feel like somebody's not for me, I don't want to be reminded of them. I don't even want to look at them. Matter of fact, that's why I unfollow people or block people because I don't want to see their fucking face. Why am I going to go make an account and go look at what I need to move on. I need to go do my thing. Get away from me.
I know Max still does that to this day.
Still watches you?
Oh yeah, through a fake account. I know that fake account. It's hilarious.
That's funny because you're like, bitch, I know it's you.
Yeah. You know what I wanted to do is block it and then unblock her, her actual profile. I was like, look.
You might as well just use
just use yours. Yeah. But again, I blocked her, but it's just funny how that is, they're just still interested in your life. Like they still want to know what you're doing. And it's
That's so weird to me. Move on.
Yeah. One thing to wrap it up is that I heard somebody say this is taking back your ex is like taking a shit. We never grab that shit and shove it back in.
Ew.
And I was like, wow.
I got a visual. You were like,
Yeah.
never take that shit and
Yeah, it's like, you never take the shit and stick it back in. It's like, you have to let it go. And I'm like,
flush it down the toilet, guys.
let it go. Yeah. So it's like,
Flush your exes down, flush the past down the toilet like it's a turd. And that is your wisdom for the day.
thank you for watching. Thank you so much for
Absolutely.
for doing this. I
Talking
know.
about just a bunch of crazy.
I know.